This is the Bears Barroom Radio Network. The following...
2, 1.
This is the Bears Barroom Radio Network. The following program is recorded live and intended for all audiences.
Radio is scripted now. We just come up with it. We don't use computers. We don't rehearse. We're going to talk about this next. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the Bulls. And then we're going to have Brad Big Son. And then we're going to have No. If you don't know what you're going to talk about in the top of your head before a show, you shouldn't be in the business. I don't know what you got. I feel like Vince Vaughn in a couple's retreat. The Sharks are circling. Old school, baby.
You're listening to the Mike North Advantage, and it begins right now.
That's right. The Mike North Advantage starts right now. I am Aldo Gandia, Mike Wingman, and we are live on video. Can you believe it? We are live on video with Mike North, and every show I begin with this introduction. Mike North, how are you, my friend?
Well, feeling good, Aldo. 2-1 last week. Really, the only place I won was on Bears Barroom because Carmen DeFalco and I, on the odds couple, for the first time in our 2.5-year history, got shut down. It was more of a public week, but I went 0-1 on Yurko show, and with Carmen, I went 0-2 on the odds couple, and Carmen went 0-2. So we went 2-1, you and I, and that was the guiding light. I keep the record going. As far as having a losing week, I picked some winners, but my biggest winner was the Chicago Bears, man. I was getting 3. I picked it on the show. I go, I can't believe that this team can't stay in the same vicinity with the Detroit Lions, because I started looking for Kelvin Johnson, and I started looking for Bobby Lane. I started looking for Barry Sanders. I didn't see nobody like that. And instead, the Bears end up winning one of the best and more entertaining games that I've seen in a long time, and a huge game for Mitch Trubisky and the whole Bears squad.
That was a super entertaining fourth quarter. For those first 3 quarters, I was like, oh, my goodness.
Can you see the wrong in the picture? Hold on, let me move it. Okay. Well, it was entertaining, right?
Yes, it was super entertaining. And of course, a win is a win. You got to be happy when a team comes back from a big deficit and they play well on the road, even if there are no fans there. But you got to be happy about that. And Mitchell Trubisky, again, your guy, you're a Trubisky man, hashtag Trubisky man. Your guy really came through with flying colors, and let's hope that he can build on that with this upcoming game against the New York Giants. But you called it. You said put your money on the Bears, and you were right.
Well, you know what, Aldo? The thing that's bothering me in our climate right now is the fact that not only do we have the media separating us politically, entertainment-wise, look what this guy said. Yeah, well, look what that guy said. Radio hosts, TV hosts being let go in this climate. And now we see a division for the quarterback position after it was won. And I mean, people that I respect, Dan Pompei, and I know Danny's half kidding, but can we make a change after the first quarter? Mark Giangreco. I'm going, what are you guys doing? Half the Bear fans. I mean, to me, look, if you make statements like that, and I made the statement, you can talk about football, you can write about football, but that don't mean you know football. If you want the Chicago Bears to take an up-and-coming start, and just knock them out after the first quarter, who does that? The bias is stifling towards Mitch, and I'm glad he turned some people around it. I put out on Twitter earlier, I got news for everybody. He's starting in week 3, no matter what happens. So I don't want to see those tweets, man.
Yeah, I saw that. You said, I'm going to go out on a limb. Not only is he going to play well in week 2, whether he plays well or not, you said he's going to start.
You can't. I mean, what are you going to do? Bench a guy that is 1-1, or let's say they don't lose because of him. Let's say they lose 35-28 and he throws 3 TDs. What are you going to do? Because, you know, the people that have escaped on this whole thing has been the defense. Right. Because Fuller came up with that interception, huge. And it reminded me of 2 years ago. I was waiting for a turnover, and they got it. And then when you got the turnover, you had a quarterback and an offense that had struggled in clutch time. He had a 145 quarterback rating. I don't know how they do it. I know that's high, though. And you know what? I was just excited for him. What a clutch performance by Mitch Trubisky and the Bears. I think Montgomery looked great. Nobody's talking about that. He averaged 4.9. Was hard to tackle. I think that Allen Robinson had a great game, runs precise patterns, had great catches. But I also think that some guys, Wims, Anthony Miller, this guy Moody, they're all faster than Allen Robinson. And that's why you had that little dust up, little hurt feelings, little diva-ish type of behavior. I'm taking myself off Instagram, and stuff like that. But as a whole, man, the Bears, I'm excited about this week where they're playing a team that lost my over. I had the over Giants 44. That the game ended 42. I had the Giants +6. This is why Jason Garrett is a bad football coach. They have a 19-play drive. 19 plays. And on the 20th play, he has this green, wet behind the ears quarterback roll to his left like he's Dan Marino or Elway, and then throw across his body with linemen coming at him. And the interception killed me. And sometimes you need luck. And I lost both ends of that parlay on that bad play.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, yeah. I didn't say my goodness. No. People go call the police. Something's going on at the North residence. And then they go through the window, and it was just me in my underwear jumping up and down. Like, how do you do?
I don't know how you do it. You must have a stomach made out of cast iron.
And then I hear people go, nice picks. Man, do you know who I am? If Babe Ruth goes 0 for 4, if Mick Jagger gets a sore throat, it happens. But you don't come up to me and say nice picks and be facetious. I don't like it. I bet my games. Not only do I pick them, I bet them. And boy, you know what I did? I was practicing my rope toss. You know what I mean? Now we got visual. Come on. You look a little bit like Daniel Parker. I want you to know that.
Q from Cincy is in the chat room, and he says, thank you for the Chicago picks. He made some money thanks to you.
Thank you, Q. At least somebody appreciates it. Me and Carmen, my God, we're like Kennedy in the car in Dallas. He's the governor, and I'm Kennedy. My head's in my BB's lap. My God. Because I had one bad week.
There goes his brains.
Yeah. Yeah, you didn't cover. Good luck, buddy.
Everybody becomes a Lee Harvey Oswald.
Everybody becomes a great shot from a fifth-floor window. Yeah.
All right. You mentioned the Allen Robinson incident. So let's rewind about 48 hours. All of a sudden, it becomes obvious that Allen Robinson has scrubbed off all of the mentions to the Chicago Bears on his social media accounts. We know that the contract negotiations with the Bears have not really been progressing. He tried to, before the season, he says, I can definitely deal with this. I separate stuff, but he had a meltdown. And so he was asked about that. And he said that emotion took over, which is why he scrubbed all that stuff. Let's hear from Allen.
I took some emotion, at the same time, I think everybody knows how passionate I am about the game. Or the passion that I've had, for the city of Chicago, and I had the passion that I had, for the city of Chicago, and to put on this Bears uniform and everything like that, So again, I'm a passionate person. Again, I know I may not show it on the sidelines and stuff like that, but the things that I believe in, I really do believe in them, and again, that's just where that came from.
So, Mike, here's the thing. When he tore his ACL in the first game of the season when he was with Jacksonville, that was a contract year for him. So he's probably going through that and saying, why am I out there risking when these guys won't give me the security that I deserve? Your thought?
First of all, I like Allen Robinson a lot. You know that now. I like him. I stand by him on certain things. I mean, I know that he proved himself to me. He's a tremendous receiver as far as having hands, but he's a possession receiver, Al. He really, really is. And I think he's already cashed in on $42 million, okay, in his career. This will be his last year. I know he knows he made a mistake. That's why he said what he said. I thought it was a bad look for him after a huge win, okay, especially when other receivers stepped up. Maybe he's feeling a little heat. But I will tell you this. I would wait till the end of the year because that's a lot of money to pay a guy. Tom Waddle, I did the breakdown, and people go, Mike, you just roll out of bed, don't you? I go, no. That's why I'm mad when my picks don't go right. I work all week on stuff.
Yeah.
And I try to find a rationale. And I've seen every Bear receiver that's ever lived from 1962 on. I don't care if it was Angelo Coya. I don't care if it was Dick Gordon. I don't care. And this kid is a hell of a receiver. But last year, he averaged 11 yards a catch. Tom Waddle, who was a possession receiver, 2 different years averaged more. One year, he averaged 12.5. He's not the fastest guy of all the receivers. He's a guy that benefits over other receivers stretching the field, but he comes through. But you got to wait on him. He's already made a good amount of money. And I thought, and you know, I like this, Aldo. You know, I did, when I was under contract with the Score, I went and asked for an extension. But what I did was I had a 5-year deal with my original deal. I had 2 years left to go on that deal. I flew out there and said I'd like a 5-year extension with this much money. And they said, and I'll work for the next 2 years under the money you're giving me now. Well, they loved it. And that's what I did. But I did it quietly. I didn't worry about it. I took the day off from work. And you know what? I didn't cry about it on the air. And I would ask you this. All the people that are giving him advice that he maybe did the right thing. People are trying to find a rationale. Media people, fans. Let's talk about the media people. How many of them would get on the air and say, I got 1 year left on my deal. I want an extension.
Yeah, not many, if any at all, right? Yeah.
None. I did it, but I didn't do it on the air. Mm-hmm. So once again, put yourself in other people's shoes. When you've made $42 million, we had a big game. I just thought the timing was wrong. That's all. I thought it stole the thunder from Anthony Miller. I thought it stole it from Mitch. And with the defense making key turnovers, I thought it's just bad for him.
Well, Mitch was asked about this, and he was told, you know, a lot of your teammates came to Allen's defense on social media, but do you think this is going to be a distraction? This was Mitchell Trubisky's response at Wednesday's press conference.
Well, we always support each other 100% all the way, so we're always behind our teammates, but I think it's really simple for us. It may seem like a distraction online or on Twitter or whatever it is, but we don't see that in the locker room. We don't see that on the field, and it's especially with Allen and a lot of the guys we have on offense, you never got to worry about that type of thing because we're attacking practice and everything's team first mentality because I know these guys in the locker room. So the way he has handled himself and the rest of the guys on offense, it's professional. They're trying to get better. And I think all that other stuff will take care of itself.
Oh, God. You couldn't hear me screaming. Oh, Jesus. He didn't really say, Mitch didn't say anything. Look, I love Mitch, but Allen did. Basically, he didn't apologize, but he said, look, I was a little crazy. Mm-hmm. So let's just move on. That's basically what it is. But I don't ever want to hear any athlete in the Chicago Bear locker room tell me they don't hear the noise. Because there's been reasons I've been thrown up against locker room doors because they hear everything. They read everything. You don't think if I have a 3-touchdown day and I'm Mitch Trubisky? I mean, I remember when I got hired by the Score in 92. They had a layout of us, the guys that were coming to the Score. And this is before Twitter and everything. I told B, I didn't say knock out the noise. Forget about it. I don't hear none of it. I told her buy 10 Sun Times and 10 Tribunes. Okay? And I passed them out to my buddies and stuff. So they hear everything. And you know what? Allen Robinson heard and reads social media, promotes his foundation, which he was only going to hurt himself if he took it off Instagram. So I think it's all settled. I think it's good to have a little bit of an edge. And the Oakland A's used to cry about contract situations, but then they get together on the field and forget about it.
Right. Very, very, very true. You know, I do believe that Allen just overreacted.
Yeah.
I do believe that the Chicago Bears, they hold some leverage here because
Oh,
they have the opportunity to franchise tag Allen. And they also, I think fans have to consider this. Now, I'm all for Allen Robinson making his money. You know, players risk their lives out there. It's a very
money. He could retire and he's set for 5 generations.
Yeah, but you want the market value. And he saw over the weekend, he saw Cooper Kupp make big money. DeAndre Hopkins make big money. There was another wide receiver that was signed over the last several days. And so he's probably thinking, well, what about me? I understand that. But at the same time, looking at it from the organization standpoint, they've got to sign a quarterback next season. And if Mitch plays to our hopes, you know, that would be a $20, $25, $30 million a year contract. And the going rate that Allen Robinson wants for his salary is $20+ million. So this is a complicated situation. It's not that easy. You know, I see some of our friends in the chat room saying, sign him and get past this and stuff. It's more complicated than that.
You got to wait till the end of the year. You're not signing a possession receiver. First of all, I think he's ranked 7th in pay. All right, he makes $15 million a year. So, to give you an example, Julian Edelman, we all know who he is, right? 274 catches his last 3 years. Okay, averages about the same amount of yards a catch as Allen. Makes $8 million. Okay, now Hopkins, Kupp, I take both of them over Allen because Hopkins is faster, Kupp's faster, and he can do other things. That doesn't mean Allen's a bad receiver. He's just not a receiver you spend $20 million on. That's my opinion. And if you want to really ask any scout in football, any scout, what's the easiest position on the offensive side of the football to fill? They will tell you. I think maybe Greg Gabriel would tell you. Wide receiver.
I don't know about that. I think it's the running back position. We're seeing running backs now picked in the 4th round. The days of running backs going in the 1st round are not that common.
I agree with that. But do you agree also that you could find because wide receivers to me, they're all over. They're fast. They got hands. You watch football. I don't care if you're watching Central Arkansas. I just think there's a lot of players that can play that position. Mm-hmm. And I think it's an easy position. Maybe running back is, maybe it is an easier position to fill. But I will tell you this, wide receiver, there's plenty of guys that play the position, plus there's free agency. And I would ask anybody this, would you rather have Allen Robinson or DeAndre Hopkins?
Wow.
I mean, come on. Come on. I mean, I may be dumb, but I'm not stupid. That's nothing against Allen, but he can't put himself in that category. He can't.
Yeah. I have a little bit, I'm placing a little bit more value on Allen. You got to think of this. What if Allen Robinson had a more accurate and consistent quarterback than Mitchell Trubisky? I mean, he had 90+ catches last year. So,
that's pretty accurate. 98 throws to him. And not 98 throws, but 98 catches. That's pretty damn good. He's the focus of the offense.
Right.
I understand that. But if you want a bomb, is Allen Robinson, and there's only 2 or 3 a game, so I'm not the rest of his game, and plus he's a great blocker. Mm-hmm. But if you needed a big bomb, you go to somebody else, like maybe Miller, because guess what? It happened last week. Miller caught that touchdown pass. So I think the Bears are happy with their receiving core, including Allen. But if they lose Allen, I think they're confident that some of these other young guys could step in. But I've seen this happen before, Aldo. I'm going to name off some people. Don't ever think the Bears can't let a guy go. Because if they can get rid of Willie Gault, they can get rid of Allen Robinson. I'll give you another one. If you can get rid of Wilbur Marshall in his prime, you can get rid of Allen Robinson. You want me to name 15 more guys that were let go that were great football players on the Chicago Bears, and they were just let adrift. Even Ditka during his Pro Bowl years was let go. So anybody that thinks because you're Allen Robinson or you got numbers, where 98 now is pedestrian, which is insane. And I'd ask everybody this. If the Bears said tomorrow, we can't sign Allen Robinson, but he promises to behave, he's on a zero tolerance, we can sign Antonio Brown. I'm telling you right now, it will be split, Aldo. It will be split. Not that Antonio Brown may be ready to play. Maybe he wouldn't be as good as Allen, but there'd be people that would entertain that thought.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this. I'm going to call up some video from last season. Let's see if I can get it up on the screen
Right.
the way I want to here.
I got it.
You see it? Okay, good. This was the Bears ended up winning this game. I think the score was 16-9 or something like that. And Allen Robinson had 6 catches for 131 yards. So he had himself quite the day.
Yep.
Mitchell was so on this day. And so we have to ask ourselves, would they have won this game without Allen Robinson? Excuse me, there's A-Rob there making a big catch, one of his big 6 of 6 catches. Would they have won this game without A-Rob? And, Mitch was having a bad day throughout most of the day. The Bears eked out a win, but there's A-Rob being held, and so that play was nullified. But nonetheless, my point is that, he is an important part of this team. I do believe that Ryan, there's A-Rob's touchdown. He scored a touchdown in this game. I do believe that Ryan Pace is going to sign Allen Robinson, and he's just trying to use the leverage that he has in order to try to maximize the resources, the financial resources that he has.
I'll say it'll be 50-50 because I've seen some great football players leave this team. I mean, over the years, Greg Olsen. I mean, come on. Allen Robinson's going to stay, but we got rid of Greg Olsen, who was a premier tight end for the last 5-6 years. You and I have even been disgusted with that deal. So I'll go 50-50 because of what you stated earlier, the quarterback position. If Mitch Trubisky has a huge year, you're going to let him walk? Because I'll tell you what, I'd rather have Mitch Trubisky than Dak Prescott. I watched Dak Prescott the other night. That guy wants $36 million, $35 million. You'd be second string behind Mitch Trubisky on this team. I saw other quarterbacks last week. Baker Mayfield. I'm going to tell you right now, he may have a big game this coming Sunday, but there's no way I would trade Mitch Trubisky for Baker Mayfield. I can go down the list right now. Hey, how about Daniel Jones? I liked Daniel Jones last year. I saw enough. I wouldn't trade Mitch Trubisky for Daniel Jones. Did I name one of those guys that you would trade him for?
No, I would not trade Mitchell Trubisky for those guys. Absolutely not.
Dak Prescott, you put Mitchell Trubisky behind the best offensive line in football. Everybody talks about Mitch. Last year, the line sucked. Some of the receivers sucked. The running back position was non-existent, and Nagy sucked. Put Mitch Trubisky with Zeke Elliott behind him, an offensive line, a couple nice receivers, but the best offensive line in football where you can stand back there like Dak Prescott and he won't lose. And the thing that how many interceptions did Mitch have last week? How many fumbles? He almost had that costly fumble, and that would have been the end of that. But really, turnovers, he had one, and they recovered the fumble himself, or a lineman recovered the fumble.
Right. Back to that game last year, these were some of the stats. Jones was 21 out of 36 for just 150 yards, but did notch 2 touchdowns. Mitchell Trubisky, 25 out of 41, almost 300 yards passing, a touchdown, but 2 interceptions. Saquon Barkley, 17 carries, 59 yards. The rushing game, Matt Nagy wasn't paying much attention to that. He had Tariq Cohen rush 6 times for 25 yards.
Yeah, I mean, that's tough. Now, I would say this. I wouldn't want Daniel Jones, but I take Barkley, even though he had a lousy game. How much better does Mitch become then with a running back like that? Taking nothing against Montgomery. Montgomery built himself something this past week. He impressed me. He didn't go down. Last year, he was learning, maybe hesitating. He's attacking the hole. He's not going down, like you had said, on the first hit. So I'm really hopeful for him. I really am. And I think Mitch being better, like you said, will open it up for everybody else.
This is Saquon Barkley's numbers over the 2 games he's played in his career against the Bears. He has a total of 41 rushes, 184 yards, averaging about 4.5 yards per carry. He doesn't have a touchdown either rushing the ball or receiving as a pass catcher out of the backfield. He's got only 5 catches for 22 yards. Now, in the first game that he played against the Chicago Bears, he came up big in their comeback attempt that the Giants won at home at the Meadowlands or whatever that place is called, where Jimmy Hoffa might be buried.
I think it was killed in Detroit in the hallway or something about from the Irishman. That's just me. I just hear things.
Yeah, you hear a lot of good things. So I bring up Saquon Barkley because I think that this is going to be a huge part of Sunday's games with Eddie Goldman missing. And you saw what Adrian Peterson, that old running back, did to the Chicago Bears. Saquon Barkley, who only had 6 yards rushing on Monday night against the Steelers, but I think he's going to have much more against the Bears. So the Bears have to be worried about Barkley. You agree with that, Mike?
Yeah, Aldo, and as long as we're as long as we're debating Mitch and Montgomery and Nagy, let me work on Khalil Mack and my guy Hicks. We need more out of them. And I saw where you tweeted, which I'm not going to say you were wrong, but, double teams, Quinn being out. Khalil Mack was MVP in 2016. He was quadruple teamed. He's got some mileage on him. He finally got pissed off in the fourth quarter. He becomes a better player when he's got the chip on his shoulder. So I was happy with the fourth quarter, but we need more of Hicks. We need more of Mack. As far as everybody else on the defense, we made some mistakes. I mean, look at the yardage that they gained. So we got a couple concerns. You're right. I'm terrified about Barkley in this game. I really am. I think what they're going to try to do is make Jones beat him. And that's a good recipe after what I saw Monday night. And I think the Bears can mix things up. I think this was a good game for Pagano a little bit coming back because, people used to say, even though the Bears defense was pretty good under Vince Tobin, we miss Buddy. I miss Fazio a little bit, just a little bit, because I'm seeing a little more bend than I used to. Now, I don't know if that's by design, but I do know this. 2016, Mac was great. 2 years ago, Mac was great. Last year, he had a decent year. I'm looking for him to have a big game this week.
Yeah. Greg Gabriel on Monday's show, Gabriel and Schuster Talk Bears, correctly pointed out that Danny Trevathan did not play well against the Lions. He looked slow in recognizing plays. Trevathan has never been a fast linebacker, but he's always been very instinctive, and that's what's made him a All-Pro or Pro Bowl caliber linebacker. But he did not play well, and Khalil Mack did not play well. Matt Nagy was asked about that, and he said those guys would be the first guys to admit to you that they need to play better. And so you're absolutely right, Mike, in pointing out that there's players on the defense that need to play better. Now, hopefully Robert Quinn, who practiced a little bit yesterday, he'll be ready to go. And
this guys get hurt. They didn't even have preseason.
Yeah,
they fall out of bed. What happened? I don't understand this. We got Max knee. This guy's hip. That guy's shoulder. And by the way, Kwiatkowski or whatever his name is from the Raiders.
Nick Kwiatkowski.
He had like 8-9 tackles in that game, but I think he got hurt. But I was always puzzled why we kept Trevathan over him, because Trevathan, and I agree with Coach, he picked the wrong hole sometimes. He overcommitted. He's easy to block. And I'm going, this kid doesn't really know how to play the position yet. Okay, like Rokon and Mack. He falls for fakes. I watched him. There was one play they gained, like Peterson gained like 15 yards. They just moved Trevathan right out of the way.
Yeah.
Right out of the way. He's got to get tougher. You
got to give credit to the Detroit Lions offensive line, but they were without their starting right tackle. And so they had a backup in at that important right tackle position, and they only got 1 sack of Stafford. And again, the Lions running game played very, very well.
If I'm the Detroit Lions, if I was a player, I'd have asked the pilot on the flight home, move over. I want to steer the plane. And go, my God. Over that way, thank you.
So overall, how are you feeling about this from a gambling perspective? Do you think that this game is – I got a stat here. Let's see. The money line, it's up on the screen. The Giants plus 200, the Bears minus 235. So, again, Mike, you've taught me well. You've got to bet $100 to make 200. And
Yeah, for the Giants, right.
Right. And so you've got to bet $235 to win $100. So that's the money line.
Just watch the game or take the number. The number's 5.5. And I'll be honest with you. I think a lot of people will see the Bears winning by a close field goal, by 1, by 2, by 3. I'd probably lean Bears. It's not one of my main picks, but I'm going to lean Bears. I believe in Mitch. I think here's the key. And I was on last night with a couple guys. I forget their names. I'll find it. Maybe next week I'll give them. I was on a betting show, podcast betting show with these guys. And I was talking about it, and I think that the Chicago, I don't know, Aldo, what would you think? Off first blush, okay, automatic, Bears or Giants?
I've got the Bears winning and covering the 5.5 right now. I do believe that this Giants team is reeling right now. And I think that right now the matchup between these two teams kind of favors the Bears because the offensive line for the Giants is not playing well. And so hopefully this will give an opportunity for Khalil Mack, and hopefully Robert Quinn will be back, and we'll see the type of pressure on this young quarterback that can easily lead to an easy win for the Bears. I got the Bears winning here easily by 10 plus points.
I see that 5.5 points, and I just think I'll sit and watch it because you know what? I don't need a rooting interest to want to see Mitch Trubisky. My main goal is once again for me to be right and all the other knuckleheads to be wrong about in the media about Foles. I mean, they were on their knees for Foles. I'm going, are you guys out of your mind? Trubisky went under more heat in the opening game than Cutler ever took from the media in 8 years.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm rooting for Mitch. I'm rooting for my Bears. That's right, my Bears. Okay? There's been years I didn't want anything to do with them because they didn't care about winning. I think this team cares about winning, man. I think they come out, they want to win. And here's the key. I think they had their bad game. They had 3 horse crap quarters. Somebody's going, well, they're going to be due maybe for a bad game. I go, that was a bad game. They had 1 good quarter. I think you're right. They feel good about themselves.
Yeah. I do believe
that guy that talks like this.
I do believe I do believe that was more of a preseason type game for the Bears, and so hopefully they'll look like a midseason type team this upcoming week against the Giants. I think again the Giants are kind of a perfect match for the Chicago Bears team.
You know what I think? I think I need a tan. How you doing, everybody? I feel like Papillon. Taking his goal on me. Ready to charge.
All right. For those people who don't know, the Mike North Advantage is famous for a lot of reasons. Having the great Mike North on as the host of the show.
Can't you, handsome?
His sterling broadcasting career here in Chicago is one of the reasons why there's a major motion picture being made about his life.
Yeah, that's aggravating me too. I keep getting the script sent back.
Oh, no. we'll talk about that to finish the show.
I got a hand cramp.
But also a big part of why Mike North is still going as strong as ever is because of his great handicapping skills. And that means I'm going to play the music here, Mike.
Yeah.
That's right. Every week, Mike has 2 or 3 picks for us to listen to and not to listen to, but to bet on. And I'm trying to figure out which is my volume control here. And I got it figured out.
Hey, guy, I'm going to get you a crew cut with a white shirt and tie, and you could be one of those guys from NASA in 1963.
That's
right. They all look the same. They all had crew cuts. I go, those guys I think are pretty smart.
Yeah.
Market protector.
I'm in way over my head here with technical director, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, Mike, I know you've got, 3 picks for us this week, so I'm going to turn
I got
it
2 major ones.
Okay.
I got 2 major ones. I'm going to go, well, you know what? I'll step out for 3 like I did last week. Last week, 2 and 1. First, they've been hearing it all week, the Cleveland Browns.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Burrow, who had a pretty damn good debut, ran for a touchdown. They looked impressive. I think he's a pedigree quarterback. I'm predicting stardom for him. Mayfield seems to be the forgotten guy. Well, not forgotten, but it was a horrible game if you're a Cleveland Browns fan. I'm taking the Cleveland Browns -6 to go and get everybody's attention back and beat the Cincinnati Bengals. Nothing against Burrow. Aikman's gone through it. Peyton Manning's gone through it. A lot of top quarterbacks have gone through first years of 1-15, 3-13. He's going to go through that, and it's not going to be entirely his fault. I'll take Cleveland -6. My next game, and I'm going to get those kids' names after I make my picks. I'm going to run into the other room and grab those names because last night I took the Rams.
For life. What are you going to run? You're going to leave me here alone?
Don't panic.
That's okay. Go ahead.
That's something you never want to hear the co-pilot say. You can leave me alone. Philadelphia. Now, last night I took the Rams on the show, but today there's more information.
Mm-hmm.
It's a picket game. So I'm either going to win with them or I'm going to win here. But I got more information. Now, last week, for instance, I had a game where basically I took Notre Dame. And then I got information on Saturday, and I changed my pick, and I won. Well, that's the way I feel here. Take Philadelphia in a pick against the L.A. Rams. And last but not least, Detroit, they still got Matthew Stafford. I think Green Bay last week looked terrific. Aaron Rodgers, I think people are going to take Green Bay -6. I'm going to take Detroit to keep it close, either win the game or get it close. So I got Detroit +6. I have Cleveland -6, and I have Philadelphia in a pick, and we'll build on that one streak. Aldo, back to you.
Mike, before you run off and get those names, I'll play a commercial while you're away, but I got a question for you as a gambler.
Right.
Do you always wait until 10 minutes, 15 minutes before game time before placing the bet? Or, some people are placing bets days before a game. Is that advisable?
There's people that are betting during games now. Is the guy going to run the ball here? Every play. You know what? I'd be like the guy in Cuckoo's Nest that was tied up with straitjacket. I put him in. I put him in about 11:15 for a 12 o'clock game. 11:30. If you don't have your mind made up by then, you're going to get steered wrong by those morons over at Fox that beat up my boy Mitch at halftime. Did you see Strahan and all these guys at the end of the game? Oh, damning him with faint praise. Good. But Strahan and these other guys, I was hearing on Twitter because I didn't watch any of the pregame or postgame or halftime show. Mm-hmm. But people commented on how harsh they were towards Mitch. They all had egg on their face. They all.
The Hall of Fame tight end Tony Gonzalez at halftime called for Nick Foles to start the second half. I mean, what is going on? You named Mitchell Trubisky the starter, and you're just going to give him a half? That's ridiculous.
Just because you can play the game, and this goes for all of them, you don't know the game. Mm-hmm. I've been watching it since I was like 12, 14 years old. You don't change quarterbacks at halftime. Tony Gonzalez showed his inexperience or showed you why he should never coach. And it's really, seriously, they all had egg on their face. And you know what? You bench him, you bring in Foles, and then maybe he screws up. Now what? Mm-hmm. You got to make yourself a backup guy, and he's a relief pitcher, period.
Right. Well, as a former television producer, I can tell you that a lot of times these guys are told, come up with something outrageous, be very opinionated. And so guys will say stuff that they really, really don't quite believe 100%. All right. I'm going to play a commercial here, Mike, and we'll see you in a second.
Hey everyone, Ryan Badgley from the Barfly Tailgate Show, and football season is kicking off. And And I know you feel like I do, so to steal a phrase from WWE superstar Daniel Bryan, yes, yes, yes. And I also know you are like me and you love the work Allen Robinson is putting out on the football field, but also off the field. That's why we're so pleased to partner with the Allen Robinson Within Reach Foundation. Their work provides educational opportunities and resources to low-income and inner-city Chicago students to help put success within reach. How can you help? Immediately you can visit allenrobinson12.org and learn more about what they are doing and make a donation. If you can't donate money, can you donate your time? The foundation is always looking for volunteers. And please let others know about their great work. In the coming weeks, the Barroom Network will hold some fundraising efforts, and we hope that you'll be a part of those. And again, let your family and friends know. Now, how about them Chicago Bears? I'm so psyched up for this season. I think A-Rob has 100 catches and double-digit touchdowns. Now let's bear down.
That's right. Make sure you visit allenrobinson12.org. You'll get all the information about the great work that his foundation is doing. And you can also go to bearsbarroom.com. We've reopened the website. We'll have a link there to the website. We're also creating a category on the website just to keep you up to date on all the news that Allen Robinson is making on and off the field. So that's a nice feature that we'll have there.
He's our guy.
He's our guy. He's going to take us to the playoffs. All right, Mike.
Just be cool, calm, and collected like me.
You're the best, man.
By the way, Andrew, Zoldan, Jack, I thank you guys. That's it.
All right. So, do you remember the name of the show you were on last night with these guys?
No, but I remember Andrew.
You're like me, man.
I just turned 68. You know what? And the other day, I only made 3 wrong turns. Everything's great.
I make a wrong turn every time I go to the washroom. That's why there's a mess in the kitchen. Hey, I got to talk about this team right here, the Chicago White Sox. I know that's the team that you rooted for as a kid and are a fan of. Tell me what you think about this incredible team that has an MVP candidate, that has the league's best best hitter. Tim Anderson is going to win the batting crown in the American League. I mean, they've got everything going from them from an offensive standpoint. Do they have enough pitching to make a long run in the playoffs?
Listen, you're talking to a guy that took the under 32 with them. They've already surpassed that, okay? Now, to make it sound like I'm really not that stupid, it seems like, I think a lot of people picked them for last place. But then I also said that, hey, you know what? This is like a traveling league tournament, the Little League. I mean, almost 60 games a year. These guys get hot, and you play the right teams. Well, they're 21-5 against Kansas City, Detroit, and Pittsburgh. Let me reiterate that. 21-5. That's good because Cleveland had trouble with Kansas City. The other teams, they're beating the teams they're supposed to beat. The concern is like they're 8-12 or something against Cleveland, Minnesota teams, Cubs, teams above 500. And they do have the Indians, the Cubs coming up, and the Twins, as we've saw coming up. I think, first of all, the White Sox exceeded my expectations. I'm rooting for them all the way. People will say it's not, can they do it in 162 games? You can only do what's put in front of you. They've had a great schedule, but I looked at the schedule, and I never had them getting the over. Even with but I didn't think Kansas City, Detroit, and Pittsburgh, because I watched Detroit last night against Kansas City. They're bad. They're bad. But every team's playing some bad teams, and the Sox are beating up on, they're the bullies. Now they got to prove that they can beat the teams that are equal with them. But so far, so good. And both teams are going to be, the Cubs are going to get the over 32 also. So, you know, I should have probably taken both overs, but I didn't expect the White Sox to be this good. They've been tremendous. Anderson, if you stop 10 baseball fans on the street, casual, and you say, who was the batting champ last year of the nobody will know, maybe 3, 4, 5 people out of time. We used to know all the time. Abreu has been unbelievable. Giolito has been something that I thought he'd be okay, but he's even been better. So you got to worry about their depth of pitching starting wise, because I know Lopez is starting. You got to worry about that, but man, what a season it's been for both teams.
Yeah, it really has. I'm so proud of my young White Sox. They've got such a great future. But here's the one thing I worry about, Mike, is that Jerry Reinsdorf is going to screw this thing up.
Well, he is going to screw it up because they got the best second string catcher in the history of the game, maybe.
Yeah, tell me about it.
I would like to say Elston Howard, Johnny Romano back in the 60s, and Earl Batty were on the same team. Batty ended up going to Minnesota, the Washington Senators of Minnesota, two great catchers. But as far as second string catchers in the history of the game, James McCann is unbelievable. He's been coming through. He calls a good game. He's improved defensively. And as long as everybody's asking for an extension for Allen Robinson, where's everybody asking for an extension for an all-star catcher that we just basically took the job from? He plays every other day. He's the first 340 hitter. I'm having a good show today. He's the first 340 hitter I've ever seen catch a no-hitter, go 2 for 4 in the game, and sit 3 days in a row after that. That's wrong in about 1,000 ways. They're taking the bat out of his hand, but when he plays, he performs.
Yeah. Now, a lot of people were critical of the White Sox manager, but you stuck with him and actually applauded a lot of the moves that he's made. So you're still in Renteria's corner, correct?
Absolutely. I just think, he's being told about McCann. There's no way. There's no way Rick Renteria is going to play Grandel and bat him third, hitting 237, unless there's 77 million reasons for it, and to get him on track. But then they don't even put McCann at DH. They give Grandel catching. They'll play him at first. They'll DH him. They're showing favoritism there because of money. But it's hard to argue right now because they're winning, unless you have an all-star catcher who's doing the same thing that they didn't think he could do again. I remember you and I were on the air last year, live, when the news came in, and Eldo will tell you this. I've never been so pissed off in my life. I go, what are they doing? How can you pick up Grandel? Why? He frames pitches. The most overrated stat in baseball. It's like the NBA flood. And, Ronaldo Lopez throws one up here. Try to frame that. That's just basically it. I don't have nothing against Grandel. It was unnecessary.
Yeah, I'm with you. And
you get a chance to play. Right. And he's a first-round pick.
And it was James McCann who caught Lucas Giolito's no-hitter. It was not a Grandel. No. So let's turn our attention over to the Northsiders. They won last night, a big victory. And here's the kind of sad thing. I don't know if you saw the post-game comments from John Lester, but he was visibly upset because that might have been his last pitching performance at Wrigley Field. His 6-year contract is coming to an end. Now his next start is going to be in postseason play, apparently, and those games are going to happen in Texas under this bubble circumstance. So he was visibly shaken and said that his pitching performance yesterday wasn't as good as he wanted because he put a lot of pressure on himself to play well at Wrigley Field. Your thoughts on John Lester?
How many games are left?
I don't know, but I think there's let me check that out.
Everybody always wanted to see the black box.
Yeah, the black box will come to the rescue.
Chicago Cubs record. Okay, the Cubs. There's 10 games left.
Yeah,
now, well, on the road. Yeah, that's right. They're going on. Yeah.
Yes. Exactly.
You know what? I feel bad for the guy. He wanted to see the fans, but and he's been a great free agent pick. I think people today were saying he may be the best ever in Chicago. Carlton Fisk, I think, is right up there.
Yeah, for sure.
Because Fisk got better. Even after he hit that home run in Boston for the Red Sox, he got better after that. I love Pudge. I love Pudge Fisk. Attitude, fire, great catcher. I wonder if they would have they put him in left field. I remember. The Sox have issues with all-star catchers. Remember they put Fisk in left field?
That's right.
What's wrong with them guys? But anyway, I just think that Johnny Lester is a bulldog. I do. And I'm happy for the guy. I'm sorry he didn't get but you know what? At least they got to play. Can you imagine if he wouldn't have gotten to play?
Yeah.
He's a free agent.
Exactly.
That's the whole thing. I don't know if we're going to talk about the Big Ten, but the Big Ten, what happened was the parents had no voice, and the kids, and they reached out to everybody from the presidents of the university to the White House, everywhere. And this guy that led the charge, they want to start a union because they want some power. And you know what? Can you imagine if they didn't play because the thing they were worried about? These guys going to the NFL, and you're playing for a Big Ten school, and this is your senior year, and you're not getting a chance to play. So that's what I think Lester should be thankful for. At least he got the pitch.
Yeah. And one of the strange things that's happening right now with the Chicago Cubs is that their bullpen is pitching lights out. They've got like 20 consecutive scoreless innings, and it's been their hitting that's been, not as good as we expected. Do you anticipate that the Cubs bats are going to come alive and basically replicate maybe what the White Sox are doing? My team,
they're not going to hit like the White Sox. But maybe the White Sox won't pitch like the Cubs. The Cubs are there because of their pitching. They're there, and Merker's got. I mean, not Merker. Who was the guy? Kimbrel. Boy, I had a Kent Merker flashback. Holy Toledo! But Kimbrel is come around. I mean, he looked like you couldn't trade him for a bag of balls. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Either human or otherwise. From the deceased. Anyway, all I'm going to say is that their bullpen's shaping up. I was starting to get worried about David Ross. He's been keeping cool,
Mm-hmm.
And you got to like what they're doing. They've hung in there. They hit that slump, but they got up to such a great start, the 13-3 start, that it helped carry him through those tough times.
Yeah, indeed. Who do you think is going to go further in the postseason, the Cubs or the White Sox?
Well, I should disqualify myself for the White Sox because I always want them to do well, and I didn't even pick them to go. And you know what? They're not in yet, are they? I think the magic number's 1.
That's correct.
Yeah, they won't blow that. Please don't do that. That'd be worse. That's the one where Tora. You know what I mean? Yeah, brutal. Yeah, that would be worse. The third rail of the L if we blew that.
But do you like
the Cubs? I think the Cubs. I'm going to go with the Cubs since I had them going over to begin with. But the White Sox, it's going to be tough to bet against them. It is because those kids got bats. Those Cuban kids are unbelievable. Eloy Jimenez, I thought he'd be okay.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's a monster. Reminds you of myself back in the disco days because I used to wear my shirt open all the way down to the belt. Lady, that girl came up to me one time. She goes, "You don't have any hair on your chest." I told her, "Well, grass doesn't grow on playgrounds." So then I just walked down from that. But those guys are the Cuban, and we had Pete Caliendo on in front of people. They kick these kids. They abuse. I mean, they get on their asses. It's their way out of Cuba, and there's no doubt for the size of that island that the coaching and whatever they're doing in Cuba is as good as the American coaching.
Yeah. Well, they don't
go out for ice cream after they lose 5-2. They don't go out for ice cream. In other words, the Cuban manager doesn't go, "We lost today. Yeah, we're going to go to Tasty Freeze." No, you're not. You're going out to practice.
Swanky 32 asked the question: Do you think do you think the White Sox are for real or just a one-hit wonder? Clearly, you think they are for real.
Well, I think they're for real, but the one-hit wonder I get. If they play the Yankees, if they play Tampa Bay, if they play above 500 teams for a 162-game schedule, can they get it done? I think this season we'll look back and we'll say, if anything made them a great team, I'm not saying they're going to be great, but if anything helped jack them up and propel them, it was this year. This is experience that they thought they were never going to get, and it's good to be in a pennant race, and you can't deny that.
Yeah. All right. I want to touch on one other subject and revert back to football because you and I last season during the 2019 football season, we talked a lot about Tom Brady. And I offered the suggestion that maybe Tom Brady would be coming to the Chicago Bears, and I was ridiculed by you and everybody else. And apparently there's a report that the Bears were talking to Tom Brady, and he was one of the 3 teams he was considering.
Okay. first of all, that he even brought that up or that it's brought up is good. You're the master because it's good for your argument. You're the master at finding the one really good Allen Robinson game, the one report about Tom Brady. But here's the one thing I would ask you, because I want to get this one out of the way, Aldo. That Tom Brady decided against it because the weather's cold. So I would say this. He might have considered, I think he considered more than these 3 or 4 teams. But if your overriding thing was playing in warm weather, how long did he really consider playing for the Bears? Because, man, take it from fans like us. We've been to games. It's brutal. Yeah. And it's hard to play football. But I will tell you this. New Orleans already told him, we ain't the Buffalo Bills. We're not the New York Jets, okay? Mm-hmm. We're not the Eastern Division of the American Football League. Welcome to the NFL, my friend. You're playing Drew Brees in the New Orleans Saints. I hope Brady turns it around. It was his first game. I think he will. But he said he's learning a new system. Mm-hmm. Kim, if you're Bill Belichick, and you've been hearing your whole life, Brady saved your ass, and you won last week with Cam Newton, and Cam Newton's running his own offense. They changed offense. They're not running the Brady offense. And you saw Brady lose in Tampa. Aren't you just smiling a little bit?
Oh, yeah.
You're silent today.
Absolutely.
You thought you were the whole show? We brought in Cam Newton. And by the way, maybe that's why the Bears didn't bring in Cam Newton. Because then Mitch might have sat.
Yeah. And I got to tell you, I have all the respect in the world for Cam Newton. He's a tough son of a gun. He's got great quarterback skills. But the play I saw of the last 2 seasons with Cam Newton really didn't impress me. And then people will come back to me and say, well, he was injured. And I go, well, that's my point. I mean, he's fallen apart. Now, he did a tremendous job over the offseason, rehabilitating himself, getting super strong and so forth. But do you really think that Cam Newton is going to last 16 games rushing the ball 15 times like he did in game 1? No way.
No. And I also think that the over-under was 9.5 for – wait, you're Tom Brady, and you're in Vegas, and you're looking at the totals for wins and losses, and it says New England 9.5 over-under. And you're going, wait a minute. They just lost me. They just lost Gronkowski. We lost 3 players on defense. They bring in another quarterback, and they're as good as ever, and they're still in the crap division. I don't care what anybody says. Buffalo's got to prove it to me. They really do. I mean, they got to prove it to me. But you're right about Cam Newton with the 16 games, man. Because, if he's going to play that little game, maybe they got faith in their backup quarterback that was supposed to start before him. But you're right, Aldo. I buy what you're selling there, man.
All right. There is a script floating around Hollywood with the working title Raging Mouth. It's the story of Mike North. Mike North. Tell us what's the latest, what's going on with the script.
I got 3 quick things to get over. First, the movie. Okay, I talked to Jeremy Morris, and we talk on Sundays. We're going to finish the script again because we had to do a rewrite. That's what they do. Now, for people, I predicted that we'd be in production by late 2020. And we were supposed to be. But COVID, they're not doing, a lot of studios aren't even open. Adam Rifkin is still hiding out in his house. But it's coming along. So I want to get that out of the way. I'm looking forward to it. There's been talk maybe of a documentary maybe instead of the movie. But right now my plans are for the movie. Number 2, I really want all the sportscasters out there, and I know Aldo feels the same way as I do, that make fun or comment on people's clothing or something like that. I want everybody to stop that, okay? I don't think it's right. I don't think it's right if Cam Newton wears a yellow suit for female and male anchors that I heard ridicule his suit. You can't have it both ways. So everybody stay away from the clothing if you know what I'm talking about. And last but not least, Do you have any argument with that, Aldo, that it should be, for the most part, off limits? If people, men and women, are going to make fun of Cam Newton, which they do every week, what happened with McNeil, I have no argument about. Danny's been given plenty of chances, but I think it's got to be both ways, don't you think?
Well, I agree to a degree. I think that the issue here that we all have to consider is that there has been a history of discrimination and abuse towards women. And so when you make fun of a Cam Newton or a male wearing something, it's different than talking about a woman, because for a lot of years, women have been talked about in sexist ways.
Right. Wrong, but if you're going to make fun of anybody's clothing or make fun of their weight, I remember Jerry Krause. They made fun of his appearance. They ran him into the ground. Everybody knows it. They called him crumbs. You know, he looked portly. And you know what? I never really went that route. I just did basketball with him. So, number two, hopefully that will, and I'm not arguing with you about the track record, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I also want to thank Danny, though, for 30 years. I think, this was a bad issue. He was given numerous opportunities. But the bottom line is, in my opinion, Jiggets and North, McNeil and Boers were the best back-to-back sports shows in history of any station anywhere, especially with a daytime only. And I want to thank him for his contributions. I want him to keep his head up, but I want him also to, just keep your confidence, and maybe hopefully everything will be all right. But I don't know if he's going to work in the media anytime soon, Aldo, to be honest with you. But 30 years was a good run, especially when you had more than 1 or 2 or 3 chances.
Right. And just a little background for people who may not know, Mike is referring to Dan McNeil, who Mike worked with for many years over at the Score Sports Radio. Dan, a very popular Chicago sports radiocaster here, and he said something disparaging about an ESPN reporter on the sideline about what she
Maria Taylor. Yes.
And he was Dan McNeil was released from his job over at the Score Sports Radio.
Another reason. That's a different ownership over there, different situation over there.
That's right.
Under past regimes over there, some of these guys were, and I'm nobody to talk, but I never gotten, I got in hot water for things. But back in the day, it was a whole different situation. These guys basically got a different boss than they had over the last few years, even though there's people running the show there still. They got, Jimmy DeCastro, I think, retired. So maybe that was the final blow, too. But we wish them nothing but the best. And to the people out there that said, I read a tweet the other day. This is the best. It said, we got to stop giving guys like Mike North and Dan McNeil and these other guys so many chances. I worked at the Score for 17 years. Never worked there again. Worked at Fox for 6 years. Never worked there again. Now I'm working at the wonderful ESPN 1000. I'm never going to work there again if I'm let go for whatever reason. Here's what I'll tell everybody. I got it right all the first time. All right? So I didn't need a second chance. Period. End of story. Aldo, back to you.
That's right. All right, Mike. Our
stuff at the end?
Yeah, Mike, getting heavy there, man. Our first venture into video. What'd you think?
I love it. I think that the place looks good. The basement looks good.
Yeah,
the basement looks fantastic.
My little man studio.
Beard. Like the Sox cap on backwards because basically the Sox weren't that good last year. I remember we were hoping they'd be 500.
I voted on it. Yeah.
But you know what? You did good. And the Brady thing, I'll give you credit for. It was mentioned.
Yeah.
But I never thought it would happen. But you know what? Sometimes the grass is greener on. My dad used to tell me this. The grass is greener on the other side till you get to the other side. That's what Tom Brady's looking at right now.
There you go. Yeah. Mike, do you have your picks handy? Why don't you recap your 3 pick suggestions for us if you've got them handy?
I got them handy, my friend. Cleveland minus the 6 over Cincy. Philadelphia in a pick. And what was my last one? Let me just look here. I forgot what the last one was. I can't believe. I know I got it. Hold on.
While you look, I will let our listeners know that the Mike North Advantage can be found every week. We're making the move over to video, so you can join us here on the Bears Bar Room YouTube channel. And this video goes out over all of our social media channels. So it's on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and so forth. And so let your friends know, and you're going to make some money if you keep listening to Mike North. So make sure you let people know.
Yeah, and when you make money, say thank you. And then when you lose money, you can attack me then. Just say thank you if you win money. I win people money for months, and then one bad day, and there's a fire truck coming by my house. For what? And then I see something flaming. I go, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? But it was Detroit. So it's Detroit +6 against Green Bay. It's a Cleveland -6 against Cincy, and Philly in a pick. Aldo, I think this was a success.
I think it was a success, too. Say goodbye to your fans, Mike.
Goodbye. I got to take care of this chin. Goodbye, everybody.